Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Project Gladiator weather forecast. Today I'll be covering the weather for December 1st of 2023. And currently we have a marginal threat for the deep southeast here, extending from southern Louisiana into southern Alabama and the Florida Panhandle. As for threats for today, we do have a 2% tornado threat for that marginal threat region, as well as a 5% wind threat for that marginal threat region, but we aren't really expected to see all that much of a hail threat for today. However, for tomorrow, we are expected to see a marginal threat for that same location for some parts of Louisiana, as well as southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, into parts of Georgia and the Florida Panhandle. Threats for this do include a 2% tornado threat, a 5% wind threat, but also not really all that much of a hail threat. And then for our day 3 outlook, we currently don't have any forecasted areas for severe thunderstorms, but we may be able to see one added between now and then. These outlooks aren't really entirely set in stone, so we may see some changes between now and then in additional marginal threat, but we will have to wait and see. And then for our day 4 to day 8 outlook, we currently don't have anything forecasted. Taking a look at our WPC outlook, starting off with our excessive rainfall forecast. For today, we do have a slight risk for that marginal threat location because of the amount of rainfall that we are expected to see today, which is going to be quite a lot. And then for tomorrow, we do have another slight risk for that same location for southern Alabama into the Florida Panhandle, with a marginal threat that does extend up to central Georgia, into the border of South Carolina and Georgia. And then we also have a marginal threat for the northwest there for the coast of Oregon into northern California. And then for our day 3 outlook, we do have a slight risk for the northwest there for the coast of Georgia, with a marginal threat that does extend up through Washington to northern California. And then we can also take a look at our winter weather outlooks. For today, we do have quite a bit of snow that we are expected to see for today, uh, with uh, with very large areas where we are expected to see a 70% chance or above for greater than 44 inches of snow, and that does include Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, northern Nevada, northern Utah, as well as Colorado, possibly getting into northern New Mexico. And then for tomorrow, we are expected to see some heavy snow again, with quite a bit of it probably being well above 4 inches for Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, northern Nevada, Oregon, Washington, and Montana. And then for day 3 outlook, we are expected to see quite a bit of heavy snow for the New England corridor, and then we are expected to see not as much snow, but a little bit of still quite a bit of heavy snow for the Rocky Mountains on our day 3 outlook. And then we can also take a look at our surface analysis. For today, we do have that cold front that is continuing to progress eastward across the deep southeast. And as that cold front continues to progress eastward, that should trigger severe thunderstorms. But then we should also see some support from a little bit of a shortwave trough that is going to be making its way along the Gulf Coast states, which is going to be the primary thing that's supporting these severe thunderstorms for today, with the cold front mostly triggering them. Taking a look at our weather model, starting off with our 500 millibars like we usually do. For today, we are expected to see some fairly zonal flow back behind that trough that we saw yesterday. Again, the mid-level flow is mostly zonal, but we are expected to see quite a bit of directional shear left over from that very strong shortwave trough that we saw earlier this week that led to some severe thunderstorms in southeastern Texas yesterday. So we are expected to see quite a bit of directional shear left over from that. And I don't think that the shortwave trough that we are expected to see come out of Mexico and right along the Gulf Coast states is really going to enhance shear all that much. It may enhance low level shear just a tiny bit, but overall, I don't really think it's going to all that much. But again, we are expected to see quite a bit of directional shear left over from yesterday. And again, this trough, this very broad area of mostly zonal flow, is going to be what's supporting that threat for severe thunderstorms, with that cold front attached to this trough, progressing eastward across the southeast, which is going to be triggering our severe thunderstorms. And then more widespread outside of the marginal threat area. As that cold front progressed eastward, it has spread out across the rest of the eastern half of the United States, and it is leading to quite a bit of rainfall. So we are expected to see quite a bit of rainfall for the eastern half of the United States into the Atlantic Basin and the New England corridor for today and tomorrow. Taking a look at our composite reflectivity, I'm going to be going over the when and where you should be able to see our severe thunderstorms for today before I really get into the deep nitty gritty of things. So, starting off with 5 p.m., which is going to be 4 p.m. For the Mississippi River Valley. We are expected to see that shortwave trough organize around the Louisiana and Texas border around 8 p.m. for EST, so that's going to be 7 p.m. For the Central Time. And then as that progresses into Louisiana, you can see just very widespread and heavy rainfall, which is going to be contributing to that flash flooding threat. And we already do have a couple flash flood warnings. Um, this cluster of rain showers should start entering Mississippi, southern Mississippi around 11 p.m. tonight, and then they should start impacting the New Orleans area around 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. and then clear out around 4 a.m. with some leftover rain showers in the area, but nothing really too severe behind that. And then our rain showers are expected to start moving into Alabama around 3 a.m. So that's going to be around 2 a.m. At night. And then they should push into the Florida Panhandle and the rest of southern Alabama in the very early morning of tomorrow. And then around 10 a.m. we have entered Eastern Standard time zone. So around 10 a.m. Those rain showers should be extending across the Florida Panhandle, with some of them possibly being severe. Um, but very heavy rainfall, very heavy widespread rainfall for southern Georgia in the very early morning of tomorrow. Taking a look at our dew points, we are expected to see some fairly strong dew points because of the close proximity of the Gulf of Mexico, as well as the trough that is going to continue to pull moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico, and that should continue to replenish any moisture that is lost, as well as keep moisture ahead of the storm system, which is going to be leading to quite a bit of upkeep for that system and allowing for it to progress over such a far distance overnight. So we are expected to see constant moisture returning to the central plains ahead of that system, which is going to keep it going overnight. And we are expected to see some fairly good moisture as well. Dew points are going to be ranging anywhere from the mid 60s, possibly getting into the upper 70s in southern Louisiana. So not too bad moisture. So we should see some instability with that. Taking a look at our temperatures, you can see that we are expected to have some fairly similar temperatures to our dew point values. They are actually nearly identical, so that may be able to give our instability a little bit of a boost. However, because of how it's not hot, but it is fairly warm. So we are expected to see some fairly moderate instability. These temperatures are fairly moderate. So with the dew points that we have, we are expected to see some fairly moderate to marginal instability. So we shouldn't really see crazy instability, but we should still see instability nonetheless. And because of the close proximity of our temperature dew point values, that may give it at least a small bit of a boost. And then we can also take a look at our more widespread temperatures. We are seeing a very big cold front across the rest of the United States, which is kind of progressing fairly slowly. We are seeing some fairly cold temperatures for a very large portion of the United States that could be getting below freezing tonight for very large portion of the northern half of the United States, possibly on the west slash northwestern side of a line that is going to be extending anywhere from the northern Texas Panhandle through half of Kansas into northern Missouri, southern Iowa, and into southern Wisconsin. So anywhere to the west of that line or northwest, we are expected to see very, very cold temperatures tonight that could be getting below freezing. So that is something to be watching out for tonight. And then those very frigid temperatures, as that cold front continues to progress eastward, they aren't really expected to spread too far, but they should continue to bleed eastward a little bit over the next couple of days into early next week. Taking a look at our Cape values, we are expected to see some fairly moderate instability. Um, Please completely disregard the Gulf of Mexico here, because it is causing With this color table, it is causing the instability to look a little greater than it truly is. We are seeing some fairly marginal to moderate instability ashore. So, overall, our cape values are expected to be ranging anywhere from the low 1000s to upper triple digits, more widespread in the marginal threat area. And then some parts of southern Louisiana could possibly be getting up to 2000 to the upper 1000s, and that's due to those dew points are going to be getting into the 70s. However, something I do want to note is that our instability is going to be forecasted to be a little higher than what we are actually seeing with our observed soundings, and I will be showing you our observed soundings after this to show you how our instability actually looks compared to what is currently forecasted on our HER models. And then taking a look at our energy helicity index values, you can see that we do have some fairly indicative energy helicity index values here. They are going to be a little bit more on the lower side, and that is because we do have a little bit more of a lower end tornado risk. But these energy helicity index values will be indicative of that. With energy helicity index values are possibly going to be getting up to 1.5 to 2. So not really the best, but it is going to be indicative of that 2% and indicative of a very low end tornado threat. So again, with the instability that we have, which is going to be fairly moderate and marginal, that is going to be supporting some spin up in the atmosphere and the threat for one or two brief tornadoes associated with that cluster of rain showers that we are expected to see in the deep southeast. So even if our instability isn't expected to be the best, our energy helicity index values do indicate that we could see some tornadic development today. Taking a look at our observed soundings, um, we are currently stationed at New Orleans. So this is the current soundings, or the soundings as of 1200 Z. And you can see that we do have very, very good curvature in the low levels of that photograph. It is going to be fairly solid. So we are expected to see quite a bit of low-level curvature and low-level directional shear to be supporting the threat for one or two brief tornadoes in this area. But notice how the tail of our photograph doesn't really go very far. It's kind of short, so we aren't really expected to see any speed shear to really support all that much of a hail threat. Um, but take a look at our most unstable cape here. You can see that we are seeing most unstable cape that is going to be around the upper triple digits, which isn't really the best for tornadic development. I mean, it will still support the threat for one to two brief tornadoes, but overall it is fairly low end. But again, it will still support the threat for one to two brief tornadoes in this area. But overall, the threat for tornadoes is going to be fairly low end, but still possible. Now that I've told you the weather, please go down to the description and check out the socials for Project Gladiator and join the Discord for any updates on Project Gladiator. If you notice anything might have been wrong with this forecast, or you would like to make a suggestion or ask a question, please leave a comment. And if you live in any of the areas I covered for today, please stay weather alert. And two other channels that I highly suggest you check out are One Nation Weather and Weather Watcher. The links to their channels will be in the description. They are amazing on what they do. One Nation Weather is only I think 49 subscribers away from 1,000. So if you could go down to the description and subscribe to One Nation Weather, it would mean the world to him. And I just want to congratulate One Nation Weather for being so close to 1,000 subscribers. And I believe that we can get you there before 2024. And best of luck to you. And hopefully, I will be able to see you guys tomorrow with another weather forecast.